Good morning and welcome to Kramer's Corner with daily technical update. It is Thursday the 16th of May and today we'll start with the Semiconductor Index or SOX Index illustrated by the iShares Semiconductor ETF. It closed yesterday above the cloud. RSI closed above 60. We are now in a bullish trend confirmed with bullish sentiment and potential to take out previous all-time high at 240 and likely pushing higher. We can kind of estimate how far maybe we can go. What is interesting is that we yesterday closed at the 786 retracement of this correction here at 230.90, just around that level. If we take out the previous peak, well, then there's potential up to 256, 266 possibly. And companies that will benefit from this, of course, or that are a part of this index and ETFs is, of course, companies like NVIDIA, it's Intel, it's TSM, a supermicrocomputer, Broadcom, and so on. I'm not going to recommend any of them. Moving on to S&P 500 that pushed higher yesterday and closed above its previous peak and is now on course to the 5,400 level of 138.2, projection 5,383. We could see it pushing higher towards 5,500 potentially. There is positive sentiment, no divergence, indicating we are likely to see higher lows and quite higher, well, significantly higher lows. Also Nasdaq 100 higher, pushing towards 19,000, which is 138.2, projection 19,034, but could push higher in the coming weeks. Also positive sentiment, no divergence there, indicating likely higher levels. Moving on to the European market, has actually been doing quite well recently. It seems to be stalling a little bit. EUROSTOXX 50 still below its all-time high, but I think it will test it here in a couple of days, possibly. We are in a positive sentiment. But there is some little bit of divergence, but I think it will be cancelled, and especially if it takes out that falling trend line there, well, then we are likely to see it being cancelled and higher highs. DAX higher, very close to the 138 projection at 18,926. I think we could see a push higher to 19,148 around that level, 150. Meaning we will push above 19,000, but we are beginning to look a little bit stressed short term, so be careful there. AX, interesting if today becomes a bearish candle, especially if it becomes a large bearish candle, well, then we have a top and reversal in place. If not, well, then there's still potential to 917, 922, 925 possibly. There is no divergence. There's a little bit of divergence on the RSI, indicating we are stretched a little bit at least. So keep an eye on that. CAC still, again, yesterday also rejected at the previous peak. It really needs to break above for further upside potential towards 8,400. Otherwise, we could see a setback to around 8,125 level. Swiss market really taking off here. I think we'll see a push above 12,000, 12,056, 138.2 projection of this correction here. We are in a positive sentiment with no divergence, indicating we're likely to see higher highs towards maybe even 12,215. Moving on to euro dollar, that actually took out its resistance here and the 786 retracement at 108.2425 yesterday, pushing all the way up to strong resistance at 108.85. We are above the cloud. We are in a positive sentiment, indicating we could see higher levels, but we really need to. It did break above this morning, but got hammered back down, or slided back down below it. So if we get a close above, well, then we will see 110 fairly quickly, which is also those peaks from over here, very close to at least. So if we draw a little bit of a trend line there, we can see very close to that. And So it seems like Semiconductors totally changed the picture with this move here yesterday, whereas I did expect it is euro dollar to slide lower, but now we are back above the 55 and the 200 moving average. So a little bit of a cautious, fragile uptrend short term. Cable also pushed above the 786 retracement to just below the 127.10, still below the cloud, but we are in a positive sentiment, so we could see a push higher if it does break above. And here I think we just need a break, but a close will confirm it, and then we are looking at 128, 129. Dollar yen sell-offs in yen pairs in general, it got rejected just around the 157, or a little bit low below that, a little bit below 61.8 retracement, but then it dipped to the 61.8 retracement. Now, this uptrend there at 153.74. It could be it, and then we could bounce from here. We are still in a positive sentiment. There's no divergence indicating we are likely to see a push above 158.5, but a little bit of a correction that could dip to 152.90, which is the 786 retracement. It's not unlikely, but we have the 55 moving average coming up here, and you can see several times it's acted as a bit of a support. Euro yen, not that big of a correction, actually, only down to the 38.2 retracement, 167.35. Also positive sentiment, no divergence, indicating we're likely to see it pushing at least towards 170 as indicated the past few days. But again, we could see a little bit larger correction to the 61.8 at 166. But let's see, give it a day or two. Let's see where we end up. The underlying trend is still bullish. Aussie yen rejected at the 786 retracement, just around 104. Could test the key support at 102.46. If it does break below that, well, then we are looking at 101.49 around this level here at the 61.8. Otherwise, it could still push higher. Here we actually do have divergence on the RSI, indicating that was it, and it does look like a bit of a top end reversal pattern if we get a negative candle today. Sterling yen rejected at 61.8, could set back a little bit further, but it is still in an uptrend, no divergence, indicating likely higher levels. Aussie dollar propelled just right through key resistance at 66.45 yesterday. It was the third time it tried that, and now it actually went through, so now there's potential up to 67.5, maybe even 68.20 level. Positive sentiment on RSI, no divergence, indicating likely higher levels. Dollar Canada below support at 136.18. I think it could dip down all the way to the 786 retracement at 135.56 and the lower falling trend line here. But then we have the 100 moving average, we have the 200 moving average coming up, giving a little bit of support. But keep an eye on what RSI is doing. If it doesn't close below 40, well, then we could see dollar Canada already now turning around and try to push higher again. It's still above the cloud, so still underlying bullish sentiment, but we are in a correction phase, and correction phases can be quite unpredictable. EURUSD still humming along below the 98.40 resistance, above this lower rising trend line. Dollar Swiss is actually, as we speak, testing the 90 key support, dip below here. If it does close below, another push lower, then we could see down to around 89, 88, 80 support area. We will also have the 100 and 200 moving averages coming up. Finally, on the dollar index, went straight through the support at 104.84 this time, trading around the 200 moving average. It can still dip a little bit below to the 61.8 at 103.84, maybe even lower, but there's some strong support in this region here around 103.68, 103.84. So I think we could see a little bit of a bounce. However, the RSI is in a negative sentiment, so it is not unlikely we'll see a test of these supports here. If we do close below them, well, then there's a further downside in the cards. Gold's pushing higher and almost touched 2,400, just a few dollars below there, and the 786 retracement of this sell-off here, this downtrend here. So, but we are back above 60 on the RSI, meaning the uptrend is confirmed. There is further confirmed that despite there having some divergence there, I think we will see it pushing higher in the coming days. If it takes out 2,400, well, then we're looking at 2,430 and possibly even up to around 2,500. If it slides back and takes out the lows here from a couple of days ago, the support at 2,300 is likely to be tested. Silver reached its previous peak here at 29.80. I think we will see a little bit of a setback, but the uptrend is fairly strong. But we have some strong resistance here, and if we zoom in on the weekly chart, you can see, I mean, several times it turns around at the $30. So we have to go really far back for levels higher than the $30. So really strong resistance area around that. So maybe we will see a little bit of correction. I wouldn't be surprised if we spiked above 30, and then we will see a little bit of a setbacks. But I will be cautious being long at the moment. I'm not recommend not being it, but I will be cautious a little bit at least here. Copper also starts to looking bullish. You can see these spikes up here a couple of times and then collapsing, spikes up, collapsing. After setting new all-time highs above 500, I think we will see a correction here kicking in here the next couple of days, but fairly strong uptrend on both daily and weekly. Little bit of divergence on the RSI on daily in the making. So let's see in the next couple of days will it actually also be the case, and then we have a correction likely unfolding. On the energy side, we are looking at WTI. Try to dip down to the 76.50 and the 786 retracement here. Or projection, sorry, but market recovered both times, so I think we will see a little bit of recovery the next few days. Seems like sellers can't really push it further down, and it corresponded nicely with these lows over here around these levels. So just around here we have 76.60, around that level at least. Also Brent dipping down a couple of times in this key support area here between 81.40 and 80 spot 70, and I think we could see a little bit crawling higher, but the RSI is in negative sentiment. Finally, on the US Treasury yields, we had a massive drop yesterday below 4.35, and we could dip. We're very close to the 786 retracement at 4.29. It is not unlikely we will test it. We are now in a negative sentiment on the RSI, indicating we could see lower lows, but the really key battle will be if it takes out the 4.17. If we're looking at the Treasury note, if it will update, there we are. Actually broke above resistance here at 109.8, potential up to the 110.4, which is the 786 retracement. Then you have the 100 moving average coming down, so I think that will be it, and then we will see it start slow, drifting lower, meaning higher rates. All right, that's all for today. Have a nice day and happy trading.